Hi everyone, it's Alica Gallagher. Welcome back to There's More to Our Story. I am so excited to be back. I'm so excited to be sitting here and actually recording this episode. It has taken me a little bit longer to get to this day than I ever intended it to be. It was a far longer and more extended hiatus, for lack of a better term, than ever planned. And it was a lot of life happens when you're making other plans, sequence of events. And I don't really need to go into all of the details, but let's just say things just sort of happened that, just get going, and before you know it, you look up and you realize how many months have gone by, and how did I get here to this day, and what has happened. I'm sure you've all been in those moments where you just have your head down and you're not even realize how much time has passed. That being said, some of it was just sort of some logistical things that needed to be taken care of for me behind the scenes. I had a couple of technical things I needed to address. There was a personnel change that occurred. I was on a learning curve on a couple of things behind the scenes that I was still figuring some things out. And then there was also just day-to-day things that are unrelated to the podcast that were happening, just sort of things that I do outside of the podcast that became very busy and took up a little bit more of my time than I expected, which created some conflicts in scheduling. And then before you know it, you look up and we're into the holidays and it's the end of the year and there's other events happening. And so there was just it was just like I said, life happens when you're making other plans, sequence of events that, more time went by than expected. So that being said, the other part that I will share was sort of funny about me getting to this specific episode for my personal journey was sort of overcoming an old habit of me overthinking and preparing to prepare. I spent way too much time trying to figure out what I wanted to say rather than me just sitting down and starting to say it. And I found that kind of frustrating. In some ways, it created some insecurities that I had to overcome, just because then I started getting into my head about the perfectionism thing and wanting to say the right thing and overthinking the whole process. And then I started writing, taking some notes and outlining, and that became, again, more of a procrastination tool in me trying to find the perfect thing to say than me just recognizing what I needed to do is just sit down and hit the record button. So that is what I've done. I am sitting here and I've hit the record button. What finally did sort of break through for me, I will say, to get me to this day, in no small part had to do with me actually watching some actors roundtable discussions, directors roundtable discussions, actors on actors interviews. There's some things on YouTube with The Hollywood Reporter and Variety, and I just sort of dove into that lately. It's award season, so I've been watching a lot of really exceptional work in film right now, and there's such exciting trends happening when you're looking at the performances. And I was like, gosh, I got to get back to this podcast. I have so much I want to say, and so many things I want to bring guests back to talk about what we're seeing and the trends. So that was very exciting for me, and listening to these artists talk about how to get there and their own insecurities. So I went, okay, it's not just me. These people are at the top of their game, and they're all struggling with their own things, and they overcome them. And that's just part of life. And that's fascinating. And then there was an interview, there was a lecture by Ryan Coogler after I had seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I was watching some of the backstory after I watched it, and he did a presentation for BAFTA. I think they call it the David Lean Lecture. He was invited to speak. And at the end, he was saying I'll leave you with all of this, all the aspiring filmmakers and actors and journalists. He said, no time like the present. Get going, make that movie, hit that audition. Go, 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 go. Don't wait do. Go stand in the place where you feel uncomfortable until you're there long enough that it is. And I got to tell you, that was sort of an aha moment for me to say, don't wait, do. Go sit right now is what I'm doing in the place that I sometimes feel uncomfortable in my need for looking for perfection, and stay there long enough until it is. So I'm here and I'm excited to be back. There are so many exciting trends happening right now that and stories that are being told, and women's stories especially, and actresses and directors who are getting recognition, who are at the top of their game, that at one time those stories wouldn't have been told. And I'm thrilled to see those trends, and I'm looking forward to future episodes where we can discuss what we're seeing. And I'm also looking forward to future guests who are just examples of women leading amazing lives, not necessarily in the industry, just whose stories are rich and complicated and complex, that they didn't just fall off the face of the earth when they turned 40. They're very, very active, having rich and wonderful lives. And I'm excited to have more of those conversations and guests. So very excited to be back. I'm going to keep this one short. My audio producer, Brian Richards, who worked with me on the previous episodes, has moved on, and he's pursuing some of his own creative projects, and I'm really excited for him, and I'm so grateful for the work we did, so I wish him well. And again, I am excited for what's coming, for the guests that are coming up, for guests maybe coming back and talking about what we're seeing. One of my favorite ones that I can't wait to talk about is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was a film I'm pretty excited about, with Michelle Yeoh, the work of Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis. It was an episode I was preparing to do before I went on the hiatus, and unfortunately it didn't come to pass sooner, so I'm excited about that one. And just a couple of things that I'm just excited. I'm thrilled to be recording. I'm thrilled to be sitting here. For those of you who were patient and have been kind of following along, thanks so much for hanging in there with me. Again, apologize for the radio silence, but I am back. There is for sure more to my story, and for all of you guys who've been patient and hanging in there with me, there is definitely more to our story, and I'm excited for what's coming. So hang in there, stay tuned. There's much more to come. There's More to Our Story podcast was created by and is produced by me, Alica Gallagher, your host. Theme music is by Andy Littlewood.